LV55 Media LLC presents the Heroes of Montford Point interview series, featuring Montford Point Marine James B. Wilson, Part 2, hosted by Mark Henry.
Let's talk about the length of time, I'd want to say, that it took for the Montford Point Marines to get the amount of recognition that they have up to this point. What are your thoughts on that?
That was too long.
Way too long.
That was way too long. Yes, 50 years later, that's a lifetime for so many people. And I thought that was just entirely too long to bring it out. Mm-hmm. It should have been brought out in the 40s when it first started. And I noticed that, I really noticed that part when I went to the movies and things and saw how it was. And they were never in the history-making part. They were somewhere on the side. Didn't have them in it.
Do you feel like it was like a little bit misleading? Would that be a fair statement?
Well, yeah, because they kept it out of the site. We didn't, before I went in, I didn't pick that up. Before I joined it, it wasn't really noticeable to me. I was just looking at the movie. Mm-hmm. But when I saw that, when I went in and saw how it came out, I saw some of the movies later on, and I said, hey, there was black guys in there too. Mm-hmm. And where did they go? Well, they just didn't reach the history book. But they're going to reach it now, hopefully, and it should have been in there then. And I think that's why, when I went through training back in Montford Point, we had white officers and black DIs. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how they came through in 42, but I know in 46, it was hard as heck because the black guy was harder on the black guys to me than the white guys was to them in 42 and 43. And they wanted us to be better. But I don't see why they wanted us to be better than them and all the heck that they was putting on us. They was putting a lot of strain on you. It was tough walking and crawling in the sand and all that old stuff. And then have to get up and go eat with your hands got sand on you, got to rub them together.
You got psychological factors and environmental factors coming into play.
Yeah.
Which made it a little twice as
it was
tough.
Harder. It was harder on us than it was on them. Mm-hmm. But that was what they was trying to make us tough like them.
Right.
But I think they did a little too hard. But
right.
Some
of them came from other branches of the service too, didn't they? Into the Corps to be drill sergeants, from what I understand.
Yeah, my junior DI was a PFC, mm-hmm. but he had gotten out of the Army as a lieutenant.
Right.
And he was hoping to come in the Marine Corps and make lieutenant and be a pilot. That's what he said, but he didn't make it. He got out back in 47, when they had, they was letting guys out that wanted out. They was letting them get out, and he got out. He used to fly over Montford Point on a weekend and tell us what he gonna do, and we would see him up there, and we would, be waving up there. But he got out. I don't know what happened to him. He was from Nebraska. And the only thing I told him, I was glad. I was glad that I got out of boot camp. That guy was my assistant DI, and I'll never forget. He taking my shoes. Mm-hmm. He taking my shoes, and you're supposed to send all that stuff when you put on the uniform back home. But he showed me my shoes. I knew those shoes, man. I tell you, I had paid about $15 for a pair of shoes, and that was Stacy Adams, just like these.
Right.
And whew, I was tore down. I even cried because I knew I was planning on, when I finished boot camp, going home and wearing my civvies and telling the guys about it and all. But he kept my shoes. And I was, when I was do work after school, I would, you know, it didn't make no money. It was 35 cents an hour.
Wow. Wow.
And my grandson told me, he says, "Granddaddy, you didn't work." I says, "Yes, I did." Oh, I said, 35 cents an hour. He said, "Wow." I said, he said, they'd have had to kill me. I said, "Well, if you'd have been back there when I was back there, you'd have worked."
Right.
35 cents. Now my grandson is 32.
And then after you got out, once you got out and finished your tour, it was like you were never there in the first place. Which was,
yeah.
you know, so by the time this recognition came around, which was, forgive me, but around when would you say thereabouts that, you know, you started finally getting recognition? By that I mean press recognition, media, you know, the things that are going on now.
I would say 1952.
52.
Yeah, because in 1950, it was terrible. It was terrible then because we was just integrating.
Mm-hmm.
And we was the first ones to get into that act, you know.
This was around the time that they closed Montford Point and integrated Paris Island, correct?
Paris Island.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, they closed Paris Island. They closed in 49, and 50 is when it started mingling together.
Right.
And there were, when I went to Camp Lejeune in 50, they gave me my rack, you know, and they told me that there was double racks then. And this guy was on the top rack, but he was moving down to the other one because
Right.
he gonna put me on the top. And we was set up if you was senior. Well, when I went to Camp Lejeune, I was PFC in 1950, and this guy was a PFC, but I was senior to him, but I didn't know it.
Right.
And he moved down to the bottom, so it didn't make me no different. I just moved on in the top right and climbed on up there and went to sleep, you know.
Right.
But when I learned that he was junior, I told him. I said, "Now you're gonna have to go up there, and I'll get this one."
Right.
And he says, "Well, we'll talk about it." But he knew somebody, and I didn't. He stayed on the bottom, and I had to stay up on top.
Made a difference.
Yeah, and then wasn't nothing you could do because the ball was in his spot.
Right.
And it seemed like to me I just came in and got the bad end, and it didn't make me no difference. I get up there, I had long legs, climb right on up and didn't worry about it. But I'd make my business to make sure that I stepped on his mattress, you know. Yeah, he knew what the deal was.
Jeez, wow.
We finally had our dual section, and I think we got it all straightened out. Then he gave me the bottom.
Special thanks to Jimmy Michael Truitt and the National Montford Point Marine Association. This episode was recorded on location at the 4 Points by Sheraton, San Diego, California, on February 28, 2013.